try to play, but you're never gonna beat me. Look the other way, what I'm doing ain't easy. Bloody hands stained from the people who deceive me. Muddy hands break through the chains, go free me. Looking for change, looking for pain, pulling a mob, pushing a train. I'll never stop, stick to a lane, pick up the pieces and go rearrange. I'll be the best above all the rest, put me to the test and expect nothing less, you check as I'm chess, what's happening next, yeah. He got the venom, a tangible weapon, no coming in second. This life is a lesson, he got a new engine from pain, it's a blessing. New focus, no guessing, just bold and obsession, all in his possession. You got their attention, I'll leave an impression and take your redemption. Just kill, no discretion, your mind is a weapon. 11-11, it's time for progression, You could try to play, but you're never gonna beat me. Look the other way, what I'm doing ain't easy. Bloody hands stained from the people who deceive me. Muddy hands break through the chains, go free me. People like sheep move feet, hurt it easy. You don't wanna be fast asleep when they see me. Better stand tall, ready for a fight, believe me. When they try the chains, you can say no, free me. So he's been looking for somebody who could save him, instead of searching inside for what they gave him. A strong will, strong mind causes mayhem. We could change the world, change times, rearrange them. Staying on pace, running the race. Life is a chase, I don't want a place, I wanna be first. Work till it hurts, dehydrated thirst till I'm in a hearse. High ambitions and the right mind can take you so far. It's like you lived a few lifetimes. Take off from a break off from the weak minds, they can stay soft. You can change lives, you create thoughts, never waste time. You got one shot, you got one life, better pop off. What do you like? Make a dream job. No 9-5, no mean boss, just my life and free thoughts. You could try to play, but you're never gonna beat me. Look the other way, what I'm doing ain't easy. Bloody hands. You could try to play, but you're never gonna beat me. Look the other way, what I'm doing ain't easy. Bloody hands stained from the people who deceive me. Muddy hands break through the chains, go free me. Looking for change, looking for pain, pulling a mob, pushing a train. I'll never stop, stick to a lane, pick up the pieces and go rearrange. I'll be the best above all the rest, put me to the test and expect nothing less, you check as I'm chess, what's happening next, yeah. He got the venom, a tangible weapon, no coming in second. This life is a lesson, he got a new engine from pain, it's a blessing. New focus, no guessing, just bold and obsession, all in his possession. You got their attention, I'll leave an impression and take your redemption. Just kill, no discretion, your mind is a weapon. 11-11, it's time for progression, You could try to play, but you're never gonna beat me. Look the other way, what I'm doing ain't easy. Bloody hands stained from the people who deceive me. Muddy hands break through the chains, go free me. People like sheep move feet, hurt it easy. You don't wanna be fast asleep when they see me. Better stand tall, ready for a fight, believe me. When they try the chains, you can say no, free me. So he's been looking for somebody who could save him, instead of searching inside for what they gave him. A strong will, strong mind causes mayhem. We could change the world, change times, rearrange them. Staying on pace, running the race. Life is a chase, I don't want a place, I wanna be first. Work till it hurts, dehydrated thirst till I'm in a hearse. High ambitions and the right mind can take you so far. It's like you lived a few lifetimes. Take off from a break off from the weak minds, they can stay soft. You can change lives.
What up, Finn fans? Welcome back to another episode of the Finn Posse Podcast. I'm your host, Big T, and this is brought to you by Game Changers Media. How's everybody doing this lovely Tuesday morning? Good morning. Let's say our good mornings to people joining the show. Michael, good morning. Bonnie, good morning. Cat for Life, good morning. Miller, good morning. Travis, good morning. Yeah, let's hit that like button while we're at it. We're going to continue today with taking a look at the schedule, breaking down some of these games, early predictions. You know, obviously, there's still a lot of offseason to go, still moves to be made. But, you know, the schedule was released last week, and it's always fun to go over it and, you know, get a rough idea of where we feel we stand against our upcoming opponents this season. And whether we think this season can be a success. Now, what's a success? Is a success making the playoffs? Is a success being able to compete week in and week out? Is a success winning playoff games? Is a success a conference final is a success of Super Bowl. Obviously the ultimate goal, the ultimate prize, the ultimate success is hoisting that Lombardi trophy. But some teams just aren't positioned to do that as they are currently constructed. Some teams are farther along in their building of their franchise than others. And I think the Miami Dolphins are in a weird state. We should be farther along than what we currently are. At this point, the Miami Dolphins should be competing for championships. Now, because of bad drafting, bad free agent moves, because of bad handling of the players, because of some bad coaching, because of injuries, we're not there. We're not there. We're not a team that people consider a viable option as a Super Bowl contender. If you ask most people that deal with the NFL, that their business is the NFL, to name their top 6, top 10 Super Bowl contenders, not a lot of them are going to have the Miami Dolphins in that list. Not a lot of them are going to have the Miami Dolphins on that list. For good reason. For good reason. Because we have struggled to draft well. We have struggled when it comes to free agency. We do have a general manager that is overconfident in his abilities to find talent, that he refuses to listen to the masses and address areas of concern that we all know need to be addressed. We know as fans, we see the games every Sunday. We see the areas that need to be addressed. And when the general manager kind of plays it off and laughs in our face a little bit and decides not to, just out of spite because he's in a position of power over the team that we love, of course you're going to struggle. Of course you're going to struggle. The fact that he denied accountability, he denied the fact that this offensive line has been horrible, and he refused to address it, just proves my point. Now, I think Chris Grier did a fantastic job in this draft, and it took me a while to see exactly how good this draft was. I was skeptical about trading our 3rd round pick to move up to get Jonah. Now, I wasn't upset that we moved up to get Jonah, not at all. But I was skeptical about giving up our 3rd round pick because there was so many holes on this team. But I think we brought in a great group of young men that are hungry, that are willing to work, that are students of the game, that are high character on and off the field. And I think if Chris Grier was drafting like this for the last 10 years, this team would be competing for Super Bowls. We wouldn't be in a position to be getting held hostage by these high-priced free agents that we brought in here. We wouldn't have to worry about the problems off the field Tyreek Hill has brought to this franchise. I hate to keep going back to this and dwelling on it, but the whole Jalen Ramsey situation absolutely disgusts me to the fullest amount. I think he is a piece of garbage, 100%. I think the guy's a piece of garbage. I think the fact that we gave this guy a whole new contract last year, and your biggest thing, the reason that you need to be traded from our football team, the reason that you need to out this great player that Jalen Ramsey is, and just ask him, he'll tell you how great he is. This great player, this all-time surefire Hall of Fame player needs to leave because little Mike McDaniel called you out about mistakes you've made on the field, and you didn't like that, or you can't handle that. you're gonna, and the fact that we're giving into him is even, it's more sickening. It's more sickening. Now I understand we get some relief, cap relief, by trading him after June 1st. I get that. I get it benefits our team. Do we get a late round draft pick too? Yeah. But at some point, play hardball with this guy. Oh, you're going to fake an injury? You're going to fake an injury? No, we're not playing that. There's got to, I don't know what the details of the contract are, but there's got to be somewhere in this contract that protects the Miami Dolphins somehow, some way. And if there's not, shame on the Miami Dolphins. Sue this guy for every dime he tries to take us for. If you don't want to play for the Miami Dolphins, then you're not playing. And if you don't show up and you don't try, and if you try to make problems, file a grievance and sue the guy. But the last thing we should do is trade him to the team, to the destination that this mofo want to go to. If we're going to trade him to the Browns. If we're going to trade him to the Saints. No, you get to hand pick your team. What? No. Because this team looks a lot different. This team looks a lot different if we have Jalen Ramsey man in one side of the defensive backfield. Instead of looking for two starting quality cornerbacks, we'd have an all-pro on one side of the field, and we could bring in another veteran to man the other side, and then you mix in our players that we already have here, the Jason Marshall, the Storm Duck. Hopefully Cam Smith can show something. I'd feel a lot better about this team. I think this team could be really good. But the Jalen Ramsey situation, the hole that we have at cornerback, puts everything up in the air. It puts everything in the air. Because the discrepancy between our secondary, our cornerback position, and what the average corners look like around the league, it's big. It's big. Miller, listen, you don't have to do that. People can see what he's doing. Cliff, take a hike, bro. Cliff, take a hike. I've had it about here with you, bro. Elwood, we're trying to set up she took him yesterday to the vet. They drained his bladder again. Right now he's able to pass. I hate it's kind of weird talk. Not sexy talk, that's for sure. He's able to pass some urine right now, but you can tell he's in a great deal of discomfort. It's going to continue to clog though, because there's so many little pieces of stone in there. In the image, the X-ray they took, there's just a million of these stones, and they're all different sizes. And so we're trying to. My wife just got up. She works late. She's calling to set up the surgery right now. So without a shadow of a doubt, he's got to have the emergency surgery, and it's probably going to take place today or tomorrow. So we shall see. Cliff, you're not speaking no truth, brother. If you were speaking some truth and you were saying some real things, all you get on there do is trash franchise. You're a liar. Listen, you're not saying anything. They're bladder stones, Cat. Cap, the when the hole is blocked, you need to break it. Yeah, but they're lined all the way up through his urethra. And you can block through it like they ran through it with a catheter, but it fills right back up because there's a million of them in there. But yeah, it's going to cost us an arm and a leg, which is unfortunate. But I mean, it's not really an option. Oh, nah, Michael, we're not putting them down. We're gonna pay for that surgery. You know what I mean? We're gonna pay for that surgery. They're gonna cut them open. They're gonna take it all out. Now, we got to figure out how to stop them from reforming. But I mean, he's 11, 12 years old, so it took him this long to build all those up. Hopefully he doesn't build them up quick again, because I don't know what we'll do. But yeah, they're gonna cut them. They're gonna cut them open. They're gonna take them all out. I appreciate that, Cap. Yeah, it sucks. Why is your day great? Say something to some content. Say something that means something. If you're gonna come at me, if you're gonna put me under the table, put me under the table. If you're gonna say some meaningful things, say some meaningful things. If you're gonna cook me, cook me. But what you're doing is not cooking. What you're doing is trolling. You're not cooking me, you're trolling me. That's all you're doing. You're a troll. You ain't doing nothing but your day's so great. What's so great about it? You know what I mean? Say some meaningful stuff. Say some real life stuff that is true. You know what I mean? You know what I mean? Say some stuff that matters. But yeah, this Jalen Ramsey mess, I think it's absolute ridiculousness. There's no more AFC East roundtable doom and gloom. TD and Doug are doing their things with Omar and Poopart. I've tried to get us started up. I tried to get CB83 on board with doing one once a week. Me and Miss Finns were gonna do something, but she's busy with work, I guess. So, you know, I was eager to work with Doug and TD. You know what I mean? But they had an opportunity to work with some big names. This is true. You are a blind, clueless homer. I'm not a blind, clueless homer at all, brother. I'm not a blind clue. If anything, I'm not a homer. I'm not a homer. I call it how I see it. If this team has, I said this team could win 5 games to 12 games. It just depends. If I was a homer, I'd say we're going to go 17-0. You know what I mean? I'm not a homer. You can make up whatever you want to about me, Cliff, but people know you're bullshit, and I'm the real deal, brother. You're a clown who just says clown things. You make up propaganda. Now, I don't want to keep getting into it with you because you're not worth it, but you know what I mean? Say some meaningful stuff. That's all I ask. And I can respect meaningful stuff. If you said, listen, the Dolphins aren't going to be able to succeed, they don't have no defensive backs. Cool. I respect that. I can understand where you're coming from. If you can say Tua's not going to stay healthy, shoot, I can respect that too. But you're saying nothing except you're a liar, you're a homer, you're fake. But it's cool. It's cool. It's cool. All right, so let's take a look. Yesterday we went through the first 4 games of the season. I think we all thought that, for the most part, I think we said that 3-1 would look pretty good. Now, the homer in me, I'd say, hey, look, there's a good chance we go 4-0, but until the Miami Dolphins show that they can beat the Buffalo Bills, and this game's in Buffalo, the weather's not going to be cold. The last couple of years, we've performed well in Buffalo. Now, I watched someone else's show today who, just said we're not going to beat Buffalo because we're not going to beat Buffalo. Listen, that's not necessarily true. We have opportunity to go up to Buffalo and beat them. We've played Buffalo good the last few years in Buffalo. Fins are not your team, bro. There's no way that the Fins are your team. No way. Zero chance. Shake, what do you mean? What do you mean I'm not talking to you? Me and you have already had discussions, brother. But yeah, I think the Miami Dolphins could beat the Buffalo Bills, but I think the safe bet until Miami proves that they can beat Buffalo consistently or can consistently play them. It seems like one game a year Buffalo blows us out. One game we play them really close. Now, weirdly enough, usually we play them good in Buffalo, and usually they blow us out in Miami. This game is in Buffalo, Thursday Night Football, prime time. This Miami Dolphins team hasn't been very good, but we shall see. But I think it's safe to say 3-1, very worst 2-2. If we're 2-2 after 4 games, though, I have to consider that a failure. I have to consider if we're 2-2 after 4. I have to consider that a failure. If we lose to the New England Patriots week 2 at home in our season home opener, I feel like that's no matter how improved they are, no matter if they got a new head coach and Mike Vrabel that people just adore, I think it's a bad look for this franchise if we lose opening week at home to the New England Patriots. Pay Zach Sealer his pay is an embarrassment for the production he gives. Why can't the Dolphins do the right thing? 20 sacks in 2 years from defensive tackle. I agree, Richard. And Richard, when we were looking for cap room, trying to sign free agents, signing Zach Sealer to an extension would have freed up another $6, $7, $8 million in cap room for us. Oh, my bad, Shake. My bad, brother. Never that. Never forget you, brother. Never forget that. Ocean Star, Ross is not a player. Regardless, Ross is not a bad owner. Like I said, the only thing I can criticize Stephen Ross for is keeping Chris Greer around too long. Other than that, he gives this team the highest of highest facilities. We're ranked number 1 most the best team to play for as far as facilities, as far as food, as far as all the little things that are important to players coming to work. He's willing to open up his pocketbook and pay whatever amount of money to people. He'll redo contracts and give them signing bonuses and configure the salary cap whatever ways helps this team. So to say that Stephen Ross is the problem, good luck on your Dodgers appointment, Elwood. I appreciate you. Make sure you hit that like button, baby. Woo! Yeah, but the Chris Greer thing is huge. That's a huge part. He's not putting the correct guy in a position to build this franchise up. And that is a major part of being an owner. But as far as being a bad owner, I think the guy tries, but I think he gives the benefit of the doubt too much. And it's sad. It's sad that he has some man crush on Chris Greer. But other than that, Stephen Ross is a fabulous owner, not someone that's penny pinching. He'll spend any amount of money to make this franchise great. He was willing to break the rules to make this franchise great. And any of you live in South Florida, with the F1 series that he's brought down there, he's brought so much money to the city of Miami, the city of that South Florida. Richard, good morning. Good morning. Nice to see you in here. Players that come into the league at 24 plus and are close to 30 when payday comes, give the team leverage. Yeah, I don't disagree with that. Cliff, obviously you're not as informed as what you think you are. There's ways to manipulate the cap. Of course, there's a salary cap, of course, but you can turn contracts into signing bonuses. You can do all types of stuff that allows you to go over that salary cap, which allows you to spend more money than what the salary cap is. And if you don't know that, then you're not very informed, brother. You're not very informed if you don't know that. Ross is too loyal. That can also be a lot to this organization. Look at the past 4 coaches he fired before their contracts expired. He will pay to hush the masses. Hey, listen, I'm not saying the guy's perfect. Cliff, again, there's ways to manipulate ways to manipulate the salary cap. Can we just ignore the troll? You got it, Bonnie. Man doesn't allow that stuff, so Cliff is uninformed. That's true. I wish they did, Miller. I wish they did. I wish Madden did allow that. I'd love to get John Gruden. I don't know what everybody else's opinion is on John Gruden, but I love him. We give extensions to Hill, Ramsey, but not Sealer, the soldier. I think Sealer will end up getting his money. I really do, Richard. I really do. And he might get it this offseason. He might. He really might. They might be waiting to get the Ramsey money. This place looks like a bomb went off by the stadium, but nobody talks about that. Yeah, Cap, obviously I'm not down there. I know I hear Omar talk about how much money the F1 race brings in, and you know how much money he brings to the local businesses down there. Again, I'm going to leave it alone. Bonnie asked me to leave it alone. I'm going to leave it alone. We got to pay Zealer. We learned a valuable lesson with Van Ginkel. I love Chucky. All right, so let's take a look at it. We got week 5. We travel to the Carolinas to play the Carolina Panthers. The Carolina Panthers. Listen, this team and their quarterback, Bryce Young, another undersized Alabama quarterback who was very, very accurate. He's a right-handed Tua in lots of ways. A right-handed Tua. He absolutely had a horrible beginning to the season last year. What up, Joe? To the point where he was benched in favor of Andy Dalton. They were talking about releasing him. They were talking about trading for him. And honestly, I was banging my fist I was banging the table for the Miami Dolphins to go get Bryce Young. At the time of what we were going through with our quarterback position and Tua being out, I thought that we should absolutely go get Bryce Young, because we can all admit this offense is built around Tua Tagovailoa. So why not go get a quarterback with a similar skill set as Tua? Why not go get a quarterback with a similar skill set as Tua? And I think Bryce Young would have been a phenomenal backup quarterback. But Andy Dalton came in. He had won a game for him. We thought Bryce Young's time was done with Carolina. Then he gets put right back into the starting lineup. I think he missed 3 games. And the Carolina Panthers played a lot better down the stretch. Now, they weren't a great team. They weren't a great team, but they played way better down the stretch. Bryce Young ended up playing 14 games total last year. He had 2,400 yards, a 60.9 completion percentage, 15 touchdowns, 9 interceptions. Nothing to write home about, obviously. The Panthers finished 5-12. Obviously, they weren't a very good team. But they did play better. They were more competitive down the stretch. Now, we traveled to play the Panthers, so we're on the road. They were 3-6 at home last year. So I mean, they were pretty much the same team on the road as they were at home. They averaged 20.1 points per game last year. They gave up a whopping 31.4 points per game. That's a lot of points. I think that, Miller, I liked Mac Jones too over Zach Wilson. I did. Andy was half the price. Key additions for the Carolina Panthers, they went out and they got Bryce Young a weapon. They got the wide receiver out of Arizona, Ted McMillan, a big-bodied wide receiver that a lot of people compare to Mike Evans. I think that's going to help them on the offensive side of the ball. They also brought in the edge from Texas A&M, Nick Scorton in round 2, who's going to help them. But this Carolina team isn't very good. They still got a long way to go before I think they're competitive or even have a shot at being competitive. I think this game should be an easy game for the Miami Dolphins. I think we should go into Carolina and beat up on this defense. This defense is very weak. A defense that gave up 31.4 points per game is not, that's a terrible defense. And I think our offense should be, by week 5 comes along, this offense should be cruising. As long as we're healthy, this offense should be cruising. I think the Miami Dolphins should make easy work of this Carolina Panthers team. And I put that down as a win. Richard says, how many points do you think the Dolphins need to average this year for the Dolphins to make the playoffs? I think 25 plus. Listen, with Tua played last year, we averaged just under 25. I think 25. Besides corner, I think this defense could be even better than last year. And we were a top 10 defense last year. And yeah, I know at times we didn't look like a top 10 defense because we struggled to get turnovers. We struggled to get sacks. I think we get a lot more sacks this year. Do our turnovers a production of that? We'll see. But I think this defense, besides the cornerback room, can be improved from last year. So if we can get some competent corners in, I think that this defense can be even better than last year's. I would say if we can average 25 a game, that we should win most games. 25 a game, and we should win most games. And I don't think that's too much to ask. Like I said, we averaged 25 last year when Tua started. As long as Tua's the quarterback back there, I think this offense is greatly improved. When you look at our offensive line, with the additions of Jonah and James Daniels, this offensive line should be leaps and bounds better. Ollie Gordon II, I think he's going to have an impact this year. I really do. So I think this offense is going to be better. I think we're going to average over 25 points a game, to be honest. But I think 25 is a good starting ground. And if we average 25 points a game, I think we win a lot of games. So I'm going to say we beat the Carolina Panthers. I'm going to say we beat them 27. I'm going to say 27-16. 27-16. We are 17 points a game. There's no way we're only averaging 17 points a game, brother. No way. Is that what you're trying to say? 17 points a game? No way. Listen, if Tua gets hurt, all bets are off. If Tua can't stay healthy, all bets are off. But if Tua's healthy, we'll average 25 points a game. And then week 6, we got a tough one. We got the LA Chargers, who finished last year 11-6. They were 6-3 on the road last year. They got to come down to Miami and play us. Cap, we were terrible without Tua. If you go back and you look, games that Tua started, we averaged 24 points per game. Go look it up. You fact check me. In games that Tua started, we averaged 24 points something a game, just under 25 points a game. Fact check me. And we got to go under the assumption that Tua's going to be healthy, right? We got to. Otherwise, this is all for naught. But we averaged just under 25 points a game when Tua started. Week 6, we got the LA Chargers, who were 11-6 last year. They were 6-3 on the road, so a very good road team. They averaged 23.6 points per game. They only gave up 17.7 points per game. This Chargers team was, surprisingly enough, more of a defensive team last year. Now, you think of Justin Herbert, you think of, when you think of the Chargers, you think of Justin Herbert, you think of Keenan Allen, who wasn't there last year, Mike Williams, who wasn't there last year. You think of a team that mostly relied on their offense, maybe had some good pass rushers. You think of Bosa and Mack, but I wouldn't think, when I thought of the Chargers, I didn't think of the Chargers as a defensive team. But that's exactly what they were last year. And Justin Herbert went from being, a lot of people saying he is a top 5 quarterback, a top 7 quarterback, which I've never seen that from him. I've never thought that Justin Herbert was this elite quarterback. Does he got a elite skill set? Yeah. He's big, strong, physical, got a rocket arm. He's got all those intangible things. But have I ever seen him as a top quarterback in this league? No. But Jim Harbaugh turned Justin Herbert into a game manager last year, an efficient game manager. Justin Herbert only threw 23 touchdowns last year, but was very efficient, only 3 interceptions. Was very efficient and only had 3 interceptions. Miller, if we're not gonna go based on Tua staying healthy, then what's the sense? First off, we don't know what games Tua is going to be healthy for, so that we're not talking about what we're going to average for the whole season. But if we look at each and individual game, and we can't say that, if we're not going to say Tua's our quarterback in that game, what are we doing? Regardless, when Tua starts, how many points per game did the Miami Dolphins score last year? How many points a game did we score last year when Tua started? Yeah, hit that light button for me, please. Now the Chargers went out and they added Omari and Hampton, running back for North Carolina. He was considered by a lot of people to be the second best running back in this college football draft. Um, a lot of people thought that he would go as high as number 10 to Dallas. Michael, we're lucky that 2 wins in 8 games. Sorry to say. How do you figure, Michael? How do you figure that? Where do you come from that? Herbert broke the touchdown record his first year. Okay. Exactly, Irving. You got to base it off Tua staying healthy, Miller. You got to. You got to look at the games and hope that you're starting quarterbacks there. Now, will he miss a couple of games? You know, history shows that he's probably gonna. History's probably gonna show that he's gonna. But how are you gonna look at week 6 and be like Tua's not there? You got to assume Tua's gonna be there, and we deal with the injuries when they come, and then the narrative changes when he comes. Do you think the Dolphins can put up 70 again? Richard, 70 points is such a rare accomplishment. I think this team can. I think the team could have the capabilities to, but do we see it again? No, I don't think we see a 70-point game again. Could we see a 50-point game? Absolutely. I could see us scoring 50 this year. Miller, I think we still average 25 points a game. You only need a handful of possessions to get to 20 points a game, especially if you're efficient. Richard's second highest ever. Yeah, I mean it should have been the highest ever if Mike McDaniel wouldn't have took his foot off the gas. That stat can be misleading because Achan was the one doing the bulk of the work. What stat? What stat are you talking about, Cap? What stat can be misleading? Yeah, I think this team, you got to remember that Jalen Waddle didn't play in that 70-point game. We just had so many things go right that in that game that it was just a crazy experience, crazy. As long as Tua stays healthy, we should be a high scoring offense. I agree, Bonnie. And I can't sit here and say that Tua misses 6 games, 5 games, 4 games. Who knows? Who knows? I'm hoping it's none. But you can't, you'll drive yourself crazy trying to predict an injury. I don't think we want to do that as a fan base. We got to know that it in the back of our mind that it's possible, but do we start basing when we look at games? We got to say if Tua's there or if Tua's not there. We got to give 2 different predictions. No, we go with the prediction as our team is healthy, and if Tua goes down, then we'll switch it up. But until then, I'm going based off Tua being healthy. And when Tua, if Tua goes down, then I'll make adjustments. But until then, I'm not gonna do both at the start of the season. I'm not gonna do both at the start of the season. The offense has no excuses with Tua healthy. I agree, Richard. The offense has no excuses with Tua healthy and a new improved offensive line. And Patrick Paul is going to be a downgrade from the big guy, you know what I mean? But I think he plays well enough. I don't think he's going to play at an all-pro level this year, but I think he's going to play decent. I do. I think Patrick Paul puts the work in, and he's going to have a decent year. You fail to realize the players on that 70-point game aren't even in the league from the Broncos. D, there is very little left from that roster in the league. I wouldn't go that far, Miller. I wouldn't go that far. I wouldn't go that far like those players aren't in the league. I know Pat Surtain's on Defensive Player of the Year was on that team. I know that for a fact. If McDaniel lost the locker room, we're in trouble. I don't think maybe he's lost a couple of games, but I don't think he's lost the locker room as a whole. I got 3 pages wrote for the open panel on our cornerback situation, laugh out loud. I think we got to figure it out there. Beautiful, and I apologize again about that, Miller, again. But one injury and Eichenberg is in. Can we fix that? I mean, I hope we do bring in another veteran corner. I said that, or a veteran guard. I said that yesterday. I think we're going to add a couple more pieces. The caliber of the pieces added, that's questionable. It's questionable. What does Chris Greer do? What does Chris Greer do? Yeah, the Chargers brought in Omarion Hampton. Many consider the number 2 back in this draft class. They also went out and got Mekhi Becton from the world champion Philadelphia Eagles to bolster this offensive line. The Chargers are going to try to win with a good defense and a efficient offense, a running the ball efficient offense. They also signed Najee Harris from the Pittsburgh Steelers to booster this running game. So I think the Chargers are going to be a tough game for us. They're going to play good defense. They're going to try to limit what we do. This game is at home. They're going to try to run the ball at us. I think we match up well with the Chargers. I really do. I think we'll be best suited to stop the run, and that's what they're going to try to do is run the football. That's what they're going to do is try to run the football. So basically it comes down to which team can stop the run the best. And I think we can stop the run with the best teams in the league. So I think there's a chance we win this game, but again, the Chargers are an up-and-coming team. I think Jim Harbaugh's the better coach. I'm going to give the edge to the Chargers in this one. I'm going to give the W in week 6 to the Chargers, which is a very important game to us because they're one of the teams that I feel like will be battling for a playoff spot. But as this moment right now, and things can change. Things can change. I'm going to give the W to the Chargers. Off topic, but kind of off topic-ish. I was at the dispensary and found Don Shula's flower. Laugh out loud. Had to buy it. Nice. It's crazy. Everybody got a flower, right? Make sure we hit that like button. How many people we got in the building? We got 17 over on the Fin Posse podcast. We got 4 over at Game Changers. If you're on Game Changers, please come over to the Fin Posse podcast. And let's all hit that like button. Let's get this hitting the algorithm. I appreciate you all. Love you all. Week 7, we got the Cleveland Browns. We go up to Cleveland. Now, at this time of year is when it starts to get a little bit chilly up north. But I'm not worried about the Cleveland Browns, guys. They finished last year 3-14. They were 2-6 at home. They only averaged 15.2 points per game. Their leading passer last year was Jameis Winston, who's no longer on the team. What was surprising the most about this Cleveland Browns team, and I didn't expect the Cleveland Browns to be a very good team last year, but I did expect the Cleveland Browns to be good defensively. I did expect the Cleveland Browns to be good defensively last year, and they were terrible. They gave up 25.6 points per game. 25.6 points per game. Now, a defense that has Myles Garrett on it is very dangerous. The guy is a complete animal. He's a game wrecker. He can turn your day upside down. I don't like him chasing after Tua Tagovailoa. He's someone that gives me a great deal of fear chasing our injury-prone quarterback. Obviously, the Cleveland Browns, they added defensive tackle Mason Graham to their defense. And then we all know that they drafted a couple quarterbacks. They went out and got Dylan Gabriel from Oregon, and then they drafted Shedeur Sanders. Who will be the quarterback for the Cleveland Browns when Week 7 comes along? Listen, you can say what you want about Shedeur Sanders, but Shedeur Sanders got a raw deal in this draft. Shedeur Sanders was the second best quarterback in this draft. He fell to the fourth, fifth round. It was an absolutely predetermined assassination attempt against Deion Sanders and the Sanders family. This was done on purpose. I think Shedeur drank his own Kool-Aid a little too much. He was feeling his own hype a little too much. But I think Shedeur is a talented quarterback. I honestly think the Miami Dolphins should have drafted him in the fourth round. I think they should have went and got him. Because Shedeur has a very similar skill set to Tua Tagovailoa. Now, if the Miami Dolphins decide to move off Tua next year, you got Shedeur Sanders right there. Now, do I think Shedeur is going to be a top 10 quarterback in this league? No, but I think Shedeur can be an adequate quarterback. I think Shedeur can be healthy. I think Shedeur is very accurate. He can do a lot of the same things Tua can do. But let's be honest, I'm not worried about the Cleveland Browns. Not worried at all. I think that we're gonna go up there and we'll be able to do what we want with the Cleveland Browns, regardless of the weather. It does not matter. It does not matter. This is a win. This is an absolute win. That Chargers game, I'm sorry, I forgot to pick the score. I'm gonna say 2017 Chargers. 2017 Chargers. I should have been writing all these down. This Browns game, I'm not going to spend a lot of time on it. The Cleveland Browns are still going to be bad. They got a lot of rebuilding of this roster to do until they can get off of underneath that Deshaun Watson contract and they can figure out their quarterback position. They got a long road ahead of them. Now, they re-signed Myles Garrett, who requested a trade last year. I think it was foolish of them. I think they should have traded Myles Garrett for a shit ton of future draft picks, because I think that would have put them on the right path of rebuilding this team. Why keep Myles Garrett? Why? You're not ready to compete this year. You're not ready to compete next year. This team is in a hole, and it's not a 1 year come out hole. So I think they would have been better suited to go and get a couple first rounds, a second round, and a third round for Myles Garrett, other than to keep him on the team. That's just my opinion. But I got us beating the Cleveland Browns. I think Cleveland's defense is going to be better this year with the addition of Mason Graham playing next to Myles Garrett. I'm going to say we beat Cleveland 24-10. 24-10. I hope we're not regretting that Jordan Phillips pick down the line if he's trash and Sanders plays. I don't think we're going to regret that Jordan Phillips pick whatsoever, Zach, man. I think Jordan Phillips has the potential to be the best player that we selected out to this draft. This guy is super strong, squats over 600 pounds. He's 20 years old, mind you. 20 years old. Former wrestler, which gives him that body control. He knows how to manipulate the body and control the body. You add on that strength, the fact that he's a student of the game, the fact that he's still so young. The fact that he's still so young, he's only 20 years old. I think Jordan Phillips is going to be an absolute monster. Now, I think he's a different player than Grant. I see Grant as more as the nose tackle, not a straight nose tackle, but more of a nose tackle, a bigger defensive tackle, where I think Jordan Phillips can become a very good pass rusher, a bigger body at the defensive end / defensive tackle. I think he's going to be phenomenal. I think Jordan Phillips is going to be absolutely phenomenal. Yeah, I don't think neither one of those players are going to be a bust. Listen, we don't have to have a bust on this team. We got two higher round picks, and then everybody else is a bonus. Fourth, fifth, sixth round picks. They're not necessarily supposed to be stars. They're the players that you draft and you hope turn into stars. You hope you find a diamond in the rough, and maybe they can become starters or contributors to your team. But you're not expected to find stars in the 5th, 6th round. And that's where most of our draft picks took place, is in the 5th, 6th, 7th round. Bonnie, I don't think he'll be elite. I don't think Sanders will be elite, but I think he can be good. I think Sanders can be good. I don't think we've ever lost to Zach Wilson, Michael. And then week 8, we got another road game, back-to-back road games, week 7, week 8. Week 8, we are at the Falcons. Last year, the Falcons finished 8-9. They are 4-5 at home. They averaged 22.9 points per game. They gave up 24.9 points per game. They started off the year with Kirk Cousins. Kirk Cousins was just an absolute turnover machine. And then Michael Penix Jr. ended up taking over for him the last 5 games of the year. He didn't do anything special, though. 775 yards passing, 58.1 completion percentage, 3 touchdowns, 3 interceptions. Listen, I don't think this team is overly great. I think they got a good running back in Bijan Robinson. They got some weapons. They got a few weapons. Kyle Pitts has never lived up to his draft status. Drake London, I'm not a huge fan of Drake London, but I mean, I guess he's their number 1 receiver. Their offense doesn't scare me. I think we'll be able to stop the run and make Michael Penix be able to beat us with his arm. They did add some to this defense, they gave up 24.9 points per game. They ended up drafting Jalen Walker out of Georgia, the linebacker. Listen, this guy's a really good linebacker. He's going to help that defense. And then they added James Pierce Jr., defensive end out of Tennessee, both in the 1st round. Both those players are going to help this defense, and I think that defense is going to be greatly improved. But I still don't think Atlanta's going to be a very good team. Yeah, they finished 8-9 last year, but that NFC South is a terrible division. That NFC South is a terrible division. I think that I think we beat the Atlanta Falcons. They're not a team that I'm overly worried about. So those two road games, I think we can win. Uh, Out of the 4 games I just mentioned, I think we go 3-1 out of those. I think we go 3-1 out them 4 games. Um, Final score prediction against the Falcons. I'm gonna say we score. I'm gonna say 30-17. 30-17 Dolphins. That means we go 3-1 from weeks 5 through 8. And if we finish the first 4 games 3-1, that takes us to 6-2. That takes us to 6-2 going into week 9. And if we're 6-2 going into week 9, I think we're in a pretty good spot. 6-2 going into week 9, a possibility of being 7-1. And there's also a possibility that we're 4-4 going into week 9. It all depends. It all depends. Who hung 40 on us, Miller? Yeah, the Falcons will test our run D. They got Bjorn. I think we handle them. I think our run D is going to be very. We were a top 10 run D last year. You add Grant, Phillips. I think we're gonna be better at stopping the run this year, and we were pretty good at it last year. I mean, Zach Wilson he was 14-21 in that game, 210 yards, no touchdowns, no interceptions. I mean, they just ran the ball all over us. They had 5 rushing touchdowns. I mean, Zach Wilson did have a rushing touchdown. Skylar Thompson was the quarterback. Terrible. Skylar was not better than Teddy Bridgewater. You're tripping, brother. Richard, we obviously you don't know if Grant is him, but I think Grant. Listen, from what I've heard and what I've seen with my own 2 eyes, this guy is a man. He's a man's man. He tosses grown men out the way. He's gonna consistently take up two blockers. 2 offensive linemen are constantly going to have to 210 yards ain't nothing in this league, Miller. 210 yards in this league are nothing. I mean, Cap Tua's going to have lost games to teams. Tua's going to have lost to teams. He's not going to be undefeated against every team. Richard, I think Grant's going to be better than Wilkins was. And you put a big physical strong guy out there, you still got to account for him. Now, if you're expecting Grant to have 10 sacks or have a gaudy stat line, I think you're not understanding the type of player that Grant is. Grant's not going to have the gaudy stats. Grant might, he's not gonna have a lot of tackles. Grant's that guy that opens up the rest of the defense. He opens it up for the rest of the defense. He's the guy that requires an extra blocker, which allows one of our other guys to come in and make a tackle, to come in and sack the quarterback. Grant's not gonna have a steady, a gaudy stat line. That's not what his game is. And again, Cap, this team, the Falcons are a completely different team than what they were 2-3 years ago. Yeah, I don't know about that, Richard, per se. There's a lot of guys out there vying for sacks. You got Chop, you got Chubb, you got Phillips, you got Sealer. There's a lot of guys out there vying for sacks. Yeah, I'm sure he did take time, but I think Grant is going to be phenomenal. I think Grant's going to be a day one contributor to this defense. He's going to be a contributor for this defense. Cap, I think like I said, Grant is not going to make this run defense worse. And we were a top 10 against the run last year, right? So I think we're only going to be that much more improved. I think Willie Gay Jr., the addition of him to our linebacker core, helps a great deal. Remember that hopefully Bradley Chubb and Jalen Phillips come back healthy this year. That's going to be huge for this defense. What up, Aqua? Let's make sure we hit them like buttons. Please, 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 please. So we got a lot of guys coming back from injury. I think 17 games to get 4 sacks, that's obtainable with good run defense. Yeah, well, we'll see. We'll see, Richard. Again, you don't base Grant's productivity based upon his sack mark. Don't do that, because you're gonna be disappointed if you do. Now, I'm not saying he can't eventually become a 10 sack guy, but listen, he's going to have to consistently. He is the one guy they're going to consistently put 2 guys on, and to expect him to beat 2 guys to get a sack all the time, that's unrealistic. But him tying up 2 guys, that's going to allow other players to boost their sack total, boost their sack production. Yeah, Philly, man, you're a lucky guy. Your team's gonna be competing for another Super Bowl championship this year. They're gonna be one of the elite teams in the NFC. We know. Richard, what can you do though? What can you do? He is who he is. I'm not worried about Grant getting paid. I'm worried about him being a difference maker for this defense. Yeah, Miller. We'll see. I would like for one of those guys. I would like for us to have another option, and for one of those guys not be forced to start. I would like for one of those guys not be forced to start. I think we need to bring in 2 veterans. I would like to trade for one really good starting corner. And then I'd like to bring in another veteran, and I hope that one of the young guys can beat that vet out. And if they can't beat the vet out, then they don't deserve the start. If they can't beat the vet, they don't deserve the start. I want the best possible team on the field. And just because you're younger than a veteran that we bring in, if you're not better than that vet, then I don't want you on the field starting. I want to try to win this year. Football's going to change in a couple years. People don't want to focus on the run. People going to invest in running backs and offensive line. Yeah, I mean, definitely the trenches are as important as ever. Your Philadelphia Eagles made that known to the league. When you can put pressure on one of the greatest quarterbacks this league's ever seen, rushing only 4, and be able to run the ball at the clips you were able to run the ball last year in Philly, you know, you're showing why the trenches are super important. So many teams, even the good ones, suck at stopping the run. The Eagles schedule a lot easier than people think. Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised. The 13th overall pick deserves high expectations, not just to clog the middle. Again, Richard, what do you want from the guy? You're trying to put these huge expectations on a guy that is currently going to have 2 guys on him at once. And just because he's the 13th overall pick, you expect him to bulldoze 2 offensive players and sack the quarterback 20 times? Give the guy a chance. We'll see what he does. I'm just telling you that teams are going to game plan around Grant. Teams are going to do what they can to stop Grant. He's too big. He's too strong. He's too big, too strong. They're going to put 2 offensive linemen on him consistently, which is going to open it up for everyone else. Richard, he's going to make Chop Robinson a star. He's going to make Chop Robinson a star. He's going to make Jordan Brooks look that much better. He's going to make players on this team better than what they are. He's going to be an animal. But anyway, we're going to go over games week 9 through 12 tomorrow. Right now, I got us sitting at 6-2 at 8 games. If we're 6-2 after 8, I'll be very happy. I think 6-2 puts us in a very good position. I like our chances to make a run at 6-2, but it all depends on the health of Tua Tagovailoa, of course, and we'll see. But if we're 6-2 after 8, I can't complain about that. Now my fandom, my homerness wants me to say that, hey, there's a really good chance for 7-1 after 8. That there's a real chance that we could be 8-0 after 8. Yeah, my fandom wants to say that, but realistically, I see us as 6-2, and I'm happy with that. Even 5-3 after 8 games isn't horrible. I wouldn't be upset with 5-3, but 6-2 sounds about right to me, and I'll be super excited for that. Can't double Sealer and Grant, right? Yeah, the Sealer's gonna be able to eat more because of Grant. Miller, if we're 6-2, I will take that $100 donation. Pretty soon we're gonna be able to have members on the show, which I'm gonna do. I got a bunch of things planned for the members. We'll be able to do super chats soon, which I'm excited about. Again, we for group members, I think I'll do a show once a week, open panel show for members. We'll have a bunch of stuff set up. But yeah, we'll go through the next 4 games tomorrow. 6-2, I think sounds pretty good. Did Tyreek Hill lose a step from what it looked like from outside last season? I don't know about that. I don't know if Tyreek lost a step. He's trying to race the fastest man in the world, so I don't think he's too slow. I think more of us and Tyreek's lack of production last year had more to do with us not being able to run the ball, with Tua missing 6.5 games, with some play calling, questionable play calling, and with Tyreek dealing with the wrist injury all year. So we'll see. We'll see. I think Tyreek is still one of the top 3 fastest players in all of football. So if he's lost a step, he's still faster than everybody else. But I'll see you all tomorrow. And we'll break down some more of these games. 6-2 don't sound bad to me. Let me know what you think in the comments. I appreciate y'all. Love y'all. Thank you so much for stopping through. And I'll see you in the AM. Until then, fins up forever. Peace. Make sure you hit that like button. Subscribe if you're not subscribed. Don't let Tyreek go back to KC. They can't keep wide receivers out of trouble with the cops. Take care. Make sure y'all hit that like button, subscribe. I appreciate y'all. Love y'all. Fins up forever. Peace.
You could try to play, but you're never gonna beat me. Look the other way, what I'm doing ain't easy. Bloody hands stained from the people who deceive me. Muddy hands break through the chains, go free me. Looking for change, looking for pain, pulling a mob, pushing a train. I'll never stop, stick to a lane, pick up the pieces and go rearrange. I'll be the best above all the rest, put me to the test and expect nothing less. You check as I'm chess, what's happening next? Yeah. He got the venom, a tangible weapon, no coming in second. This life is a lesson. He got a new engine from pain, it's a blessing. New focus, no guessing, just bold and obsession. All in his possession, you got their attention. I leave an impression and take your redemption. Just kill no discretion. Your mind is a weapon. 11-11, it's time for progression. You could try to play, but you're never gonna beat me. Look the other way, what I'm doing ain't easy. Bloody hands stained from the people who deceive me. Muddy hands break through the chains, go free me. People like sheep move feet, hurt it easy. You don't wanna be fast asleep when they see me. Better stand tall, ready for a fight, believe me. When they drag the chains, you can say no, free me. So he's been looking for somebody who could save him, instead of searching inside for what they gave him. A strong will, strong mind causes mayhem. We could change the world, change times, rearrange them. Staying on pace, running the race. Life is a chase, I don't want a place, I wanna be first. Work till it hurts, dehydrated thirst till I'm in a hearse. High ambitions and the right mind can take you so far. It's like you lived a few lifetimes. Take off from a break off from the weak minds. They can stay soft, you can change lives, you create thoughts, never waste time. You got one shot, you got one life, better pop off. What do you like? Make a dream job. No 9-5, no mean boss, just my life and free thoughts. You could try to play, but you're never gonna beat me. Look the other way, what I'm doing